You're scrolling through dating apps and the numbers just don't add up. The requirements don't match the offerings, the demands don't align with the contributions, and you're standing there wondering if you're losing your mind or if dating actually became this delusional. Let me save you the confusion. It's not you. The math really isn't mathing. Modern dating has reached levels of hypocrisy and delusion that sound like satire but are backed by actual data. And if you're a man trying to navigate this landscape, you need to see exactly what you're up against. Alpha lens mindset here. Let's break this down. So what happened to dating? How did we get from let's get to know each other to you need 6 figures, 6 feet, 6-pack, and a 6-bedroom house just to get a coffee date? The shift didn't happen overnight, but the results are undeniable. And the data is more brutal than you think. Recent studies show that women on dating apps rate 80% of men as below average in attractiveness. Stop and process that for a second. 80% below average. That's not how averages work. That's not how math works. That's not how reality works. But that's the current perception. And perception, no matter how distorted, drives behavior. Here's what makes this fascinating. The same women rating themselves as 8s and 9s are getting zero traction with the men they're actually pursuing. You'd think that disconnect would trigger some self-reflection, right? Some internal questioning of maybe my calibration is off. It doesn't, because the delusion has become so normalized that it's now considered confidence, and questioning it is considered an attack. I know a woman, early 30s, who hasn't made it past a first date in over 2 years. She describes herself as easily a 9 and refuses to consider anyone she rates below an 8. I've seen the profiles she's been passing on. Solid careers, normal appearance, genuine profiles. Men that most objective observers would call 7s or better. Her assessment, all 5s, maybe a 6 if I'm being generous. Meanwhile, she's carrying an extra £50 and hasn't held steady employment in 3 years. The gap between self-perception and market reality isn't a gap anymore. It's a canyon. Now let's talk about the financial fantasy that's become the standard expectation. Multiple surveys show growing demands for partners earning at least $200,000 annually. That's the top 10% of all earners in America. So what's being offered in exchange for access to this elite income bracket? And I quote, "I bring me to the table." That's the pitch. No culinary skills, no domestic partnership, no financial contribution. Often significant debt is attached. The demand is for the top 10% earning power. The offering is in the bottom 50% partnership value. And somehow this is presented as reasonable. A guy I know showed me his ex's dating profile recently. Her requirements read like a luxury car spec sheet. 6 feet minimum, 6 figures minimum, home ownership, no children, never been married. Her current situation, 3 kids with 2 different fathers, $40,000 in student loan debt for a degree she's not using, currently unemployed. She's been single for 4 years and genuinely cannot comprehend why. The entitlement isn't subtle anymore. It's the entire foundation. Here's where the language manipulation gets dangerous. A man expresses preference for a physically fit partner. That's labeled toxic. A man says he'd prefer to date someone without kids. Toxic. A man expects some level of domestic contribution in a relationship. Toxic masculinity. But flip the script entirely. These same voices exclusively pursue tall men, wealthy men, conventionally attractive men, and that's not called toxic, that's called knowing your worth. The hypocrisy is so blatant, it's almost impressive. I've watched women brag on social media about extracting free meals from men they had zero interest in dating, posting it like it's some kind of achievement. But when men mention preferring to date younger women, suddenly that's predatory, suddenly that's problematic. Using men as ATMs is empowerment. Having preferences is toxicity. Explain how that makes logical sense. The physical standards contradiction is where this gets really ugly. Openly mocking men for being under 6 feet tall, something entirely genetic and unchangeable, is considered acceptable. Short kings need not apply. Brutal, public rejection based on height alone, but suggest you prefer someone who maintains their health. You're immediately promoting unrealistic beauty standards. You're body shaming. You're part of the problem. I've seen actual dating profiles that explicitly state, no short men, no small dicks, no broke boys. Now imagine a man's profile saying, no fat women, no flat chests, no gold diggers. He'd be banned within hours and probably featured in a viral outrage post about toxic masculinity. But somehow one version is just having preferences, while the other is hate speech. The rules only flow one direction. Every rejection has become gaslighting. Every preference is misogyny. Every boundary is narcissistic abuse. These clinical terms have been stripped of their meaning and turned into manipulation tools. Guy doesn't text back immediately. He's love bombing, then withdrawing. No, maybe he's in a meeting. Not every delayed response is a calculated psychological tactic, but these terms get deployed without understanding, used as tactical weapons to avoid accountability. Don't want to pay your share? Call him a misogynist. Problem solved. Accountability avoided. Watch what happens when you present actual data about these patterns. Present statistics? You're attacking me personally. Point out logical contradictions. Tears start flowing. Ask for equal effort in the relationship. You don't appreciate what I bring. The crying is especially effective because it instantly transforms the dynamic from aggressor to victim. Men don't have this option. When we cry, we're weak. When they cry, we're the ones being cruel. The emotional manipulation isn't a bug in the system. It's a deliberate feature to shut down any accountability conversation before it starts. Now let's talk about the dating coaches making everything worse. Their advice sounds like it was designed to sabotage relationships. Never text first. Make him wait 3 days minimum. If he doesn't pay for everything, he's not truly interested. Then these same advisors wonder why modern dating feels broken. You're literally teaching tactical games instead of authentic connection. The irony? Most of these coaches can't maintain relationships themselves. I'm watching one with 300,000 followers teaching how to attract your dream man who's been single for 6 consecutive years. Another sells marriage mastery courses and is currently navigating her 3rd divorce. But sure, keep explaining to men what men actually want. The advice women give each other creates impossible standards. If he wanted to, he would. Never settle. You deserve the best. These mantras sound empowering, but they're relationship poison. Every normal human behavior becomes a red flag. Every reasonable boundary becomes abuse. Every realistic expectation becomes settling. The never settle mentality created an entire generation of permanently single people waiting for perfection that doesn't exist while their own market value declines with time. Then at 40, they're asking, where did all the good men go? They went to women who didn't have impossible standards. The expectations have become impossible to navigate. They want spontaneous romance but get angry if you don't plan ahead. They want effort but not too much effort because that's desperate. They want pursuit but not neediness. They want attention but not clinginess. The acceptable zone of behavior is microscopic and constantly shifting. I had a client whose date cancelled twice, showed up 45 minutes late the 3rd time, then got offended when he seemed emotionally distant during dinner. Her words, "I need someone who fights for me." Fighting through disrespect isn't romantic. It's desperation. The financial expectations versus actual contribution gap has become massive. They expect expensive dates, regular gifts, trips, lifestyle support, and their contribution is their presence. That's it. Just showing up. They genuinely believe that merely being present equals thousands of dollars in investment. And if you question this economic arrangement, you're not a real man. Here's an interesting contradiction. They want all the benefits of dating successful men with none of the requirements. They want a CEO's income, but won't maintain a CEO's home environment. They want an athlete's body, but won't support an athlete's lifestyle demands. They want an intellectual's conversation, but won't read a single book. You can't achieve championship-level results with participation trophy effort. Everything is a test. Every question has wrong answers. Every situation is potential conflict. Do I look fat in this? Isn't a question, it's a trap. Where do you want to eat? Isn't asking for input, it's testing whether you can read her mind. If you somehow know what she wants telepathically, you pass. If not, you fail. Men are exhausted by constant testing. We say what we mean. When we ask where you want to eat, we actually want to know. When we say we're thinking about nothing, we're literally thinking about nothing, but they project their indirect communication style onto us, then get angry when we don't play along. The term emotional labor gets weaponized constantly. Remembering birthdays is emotional labor. Listening to your partner is emotional labor. Basic relationship maintenance is emotional labor. But somehow the actual labor of financial provision doesn't count. Physical labor doesn't count. Only their contributions receive recognition. There was a woman who went viral complaining about the emotional labor of Christmas shopping for her boyfriend's family. Meanwhile, the boyfriend paid for everything, planned the entire trip, drove 8 hours, and handled all the logistics. But picking out gifts with his credit card, that's apparently the real burden. The behavior on dating apps isn't about finding connection anymore. They match for validation, not dates. They use apps for attention, not relationships. They collect matches like trophies, then complain that men don't pursue anymore. You matched and never responded. What pursuit did you expect? Studies show women spend more time on dating apps seeking validation dopamine hits than actually going on dates. They're not looking for partners. They're looking for proof of their desirability. Then they complain about being single while sitting on 500 unresponded matches. The all men are trash narrative creates exactly what it predicts. When you treat every man as potentially trash, guess who sticks around? Actual trash. Good men leave when they're presumed guilty until proven innocent. Bad men stay because they don't care about your opinion anyway. I've watched quality men get pushed away by paranoid behavior from women who were hurt in the past, constant phone checking, location sharing requirements, interrogations about female co-workers. The good guy leaves because he refuses to be treated like a criminal. Then she says, "See, all men leave." Without recognizing, she drove him away with her behavior. Watch what happens after normal relationship endings. He didn't want to continue after 3 dates becomes, "He used me." He broke up after discovering incompatibility becomes, "He wasted my time." He left after being repeatedly disrespected becomes, "He couldn't handle a strong woman." History gets rewritten to manufacture victimhood instead of acknowledging participation. I've seen women claim abuse because their ex asked them to contribute to rent. Another claimed trauma because her boyfriend suggested they work out together. Another said she was gaslit because he disagreed with her memory of an event. Every normal relationship conflict becomes abuse in retrospect. The consequences of these double standards are destroying dating for everyone. Quality men are withdrawing, players are thriving, families aren't forming, birth rates are collapsing, society is fragmenting. But acknowledging any of this makes you the problem somehow. The actually good women are suffering too. The ones who bring genuine value, who understand reciprocity, who treat men well, they're getting lumped in with the entitled masses. They can't find quality men because quality men have been burned too many times to trust again. The bad actors poisoned the well for everyone. The solution requires honesty that nobody wants to hear. Some people need to lower their standards to match their actual value. They need to offer what they demand. They need to treat men like humans, not utilities. They need to recognize that relationships are exchanges, not charity. But this message gets rejected because it requires accountability. It's easier to blame men, blame society, blame apps, blame anything except their own behavior. It's easier to demand everyone else change than to change themselves. The men who figured this out are thriving. They're dating internationally where appreciation still exists. They're staying single and building wealth. They're refusing to play rigged games. They're choosing peace over drama, freedom over obligation, solitude over suffering. The response is predictable. Those men are losers anyway. They can't handle strong women. They're intimidated by success. No, they're making rational decisions based on cost-benefit analysis. When the cost exceeds the benefit, rational people walk away. The future of dating looks bleak unless something fundamentally changes. The current trajectory leads to massive single populations, plummeting birth rates, societal breakdown. Japan is showing us the preview: herbivore men, demographic collapse. But certain people would rather watch society collapse than admit their standards are unrealistic. The young men watching this disaster unfold are taking notes. They're seeing their older brothers destroyed in divorce court, their fathers paying lifetime alimony, their friends falsely accused. They're learning that the only winning move is not to play. The shaming tactics don't work anymore. Man up lost its power when manning up meant accepting terrible deals. Who hurt you became a joke when the answer is multiple divorce courts. You'll die alone isn't scary when alone is preferable to misery. The statistics support everything I'm saying. Marriage rates plummeting, divorce rates elevated, male suicide rates increasing, female happiness decreasing, birth rates below replacement. These aren't opinions. They're measurable outcomes of broken dynamics. Here's the bottom line: modern dating was destroyed by demanding everything while offering nothing. They priced themselves out of the market with delusional standards. They created a generation of men who'd rather be alone than abused. And now they're facing the consequences. Every double standard mentioned here is documented, studied, observable. This isn't misogyny, it's pattern recognition. This isn't hatred, it's exhaustion. This isn't an attack, it's defense. Men are simply responding rationally to irrational behavior. The good news? Men are finding happiness without playing these games, building wealth without supporting ungrateful partners, finding peace without constant conflict, living life without walking on eggshells. To the men watching, your standards matter, your boundaries matter, your happiness matters. Don't accept bad deals, don't reward bad behavior, don't sacrifice your peace for anyone who wouldn't sacrifice their comfort for you. Choose yourself. The evidence is overwhelming, the data is undeniable, the patterns are consistent. Modern dating was destroyed by double standards so absurd that future generations will study this period as a cautionary tale. But for those of us living through it, the only rational response is refusing to participate. If this video just explained the insanity you've been experiencing, drop "the math isn't mathing" in the comments. And if you need help navigating modern dating or protecting yourself from these toxic patterns, I offer private coaching sessions. Link is pinned in the comments and in the description. Alpha Lens Mindset here. Thank you for watching. Stay sharp.